Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to begin by giving all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and to the apostle of Great Millstone, and enough respect to brothers out there pushing and spreading the gospel of Yahweh Bahashem Yahshai to the four corners of the world. Now, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashem Yahshai, I just wanted to do a lesson on this article, which is entitled New Intelligence Suggests Israel is Preparing Possible Strike on Iranian Nuclear Facilities, U.S. officials say. Okay? And, man. What I have here is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 49, and the 50th chapter. And you can find out that the judgment upon Babylon and Edom as a whole is what is quite similar. So I'm just going to read a little bit here and a little bit there, and then hopefully this is going to be edifying. Now, in the book of Jeremiah, the 50th chapter, it focuses solely on Babylon, right? And it was judgment for what the Lord was going to do because of what they have done unto the children of Israel. Now, the Lord is going to judge, these all these nations. Really, all these nations are going to get it. But as far as Jeremiah 50th is concerned, the judgment that comes upon Babylon comes in a form of desolation by fire, right? And so that's how we know it's talking about Babylon now, because the downfall of Babylon was supposed to be dramatic. You were supposed to have nations gather against Babylon with archers, right? And having her young men fall in the streets. But that is not how Babylon fell when the Persians came in. Right, they were supposed to go down as Sodom and Gomorrah, where it went down by fire and brimstone, right? But this graphic scene that's being described in Jeremiah the 50th chapter was applying to America. America is Babylon, or in other cases, the daughter of Babylon. It's also termed as Assyria. It's also termed as Egypt. It's also termed as Sodom and Gomorrah. And so, depending on the context, and depending on context and the judgment, how the details of the judgment, you can decide, that is talking. Not decide. You can figure out, right? You can come to the right conclusion that is talking about America. And so, Jeremiah chapter 50 verse 1, it says, "The word of the Lord Yahweh came against Babylon and against the land of the Chaldeans by Jeremiah the prophet. Declare ye among the nations, and publish and set up a standard. Publish and conceal not, and say, Babylon is taken, Baal is confounded, Merodach is broken in pieces. Her idols are confounded, and her images are broken in pieces. For out of the north there cometh up a nation against her, which shall make her land desolate, and none shall dwell therein. They shall depart, both man and beast." And the nation that comes from the north, all you got to do is go into the book of Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, and the book of Revelations, the 20th chapter, and you're going to find out that it's talking about Gog and Magog, prophecy concerning Gog and Magog, invasion of the land of Israel, right? Or even that whole valley of Jehoshaphat, that whole Levant. When you go a little bit down, right, "Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company." And it says, "And thou shalt come from thy place out of the north parts, thou and many people with thee, all of them riding upon horses, a great company and a mighty army." And the many people, the book of Revelations go as far as even to say that the number is as the sands of the sea. The book of Revelations talks about the downfall of this wicked society, right? It comes by Esau, Edom being reborn through the Renaissance era. When 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. This is what it's talking about. This devil, who is Esau, Edom, who is really a man, right? Satan means adversary. He's adverse to us, and he is just opposed to Jake, right? We are supposed to be a nation of righteousness, and they are supposed to be a nation of wickedness. All right, and that is why we will be the image of the Most High on earth, whereas they become destruction. Right? They become nothingness, or a vessel fitted for destruction of the Lord. And so it says they shall go out and deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth. So that's what they're doing right now. The Lord is allowing them. But when this wickedness is accomplished, it says Gog and Magog to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sands of the sea. Right? So the Lord is going to cause World War III to happen. And it's going to happen while they are ruling upon the earth. They're going to be deceiving nations. And then there's also going to be a gathering of Gog and Magog, which are also Satan's, right? Edomites. It says to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sands of the sea. And just because they're not, they're not Japhites, Europeans, and these, Eastern European, Caucasians, they're not Japhites, okay? History tells you that the original inhabitants of that land were Indo-Europeans, and they came in and, they pretty much killed them off, and they took them off that land. But obviously there is no end to any nation, so, they are different parts of the world, but those are not them, right? The scripture says that in the last days they are going to be ruling over the earth, and it doesn't make sense. The scripture says that Esau is the beginning is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning that followeth, and they are supposed to have control over the earth, right? So it doesn't make sense. And Russia is a superpower, so it doesn't make sense for them to be Japhetic people, right? They have to be Edomites. So that aside, the destruction comes by way of what nations gathering together and coming up against Babylon. And so when you read the book of where the hell was I? Jeremiah 50th chapter, Babylon goes down with nations, right? And nations coming out of the north against her. They shall come against a specific nation, the north, Russia, against her, and they're going to come with nations with them, and they're going to make her land desolate, right? And you read about that in the book of Ezekiel and the book of Revelations, the book of 2nd Ezra. It tells you that it's going to go by way of fire. That's why when you jump down into I just read it, as in the days of Sodom and Gomorrah. Right, it all goes into the destruction of Babylon. I just want to, remind us of the narrative. I know brothers know, but in case no one knows, I just want to take a little bit of time and explain the narrative. So Babylon is America. America is going to be destroyed, but it's going to be destroyed by nations coming up against her. And so in this particular instance, there's a clue. And the clue here is that therefore hear ye the counsel of the Lord Yahweh, that he has taken against Babylon and his purposes, that he has purposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. The least of the flock are the least of the Edomite, people, which are Amalek. These people here, okay, they are the smallest, of the Edomite nations. They are the ones that constantly depend on other nations. They are the ones that are isolated. They are the ones that are oppressed out of all the Edomite nations. So, they are, it's them, okay? They are the least of the flock. And so they're gonna draw them out to their destruction. That's what the book of Jeremiah 50th says. The book of Jeremiah 49th chapter also talks about the destruction of these Edom as a whole, and also the destruction of these nations, right? Because of what they have done unto the heirs of the Lord, right? It says, has Israel no sons? Has he no heir? Why then doth their king inherit Gad, and his people dwell in the city? So you have these people just pretty much taking it upon themselves to take whatever belongs to Jake, including the land, right? And indulging themselves in the in the rewards that comes in our destruction. And so the Lord is looking upon all these things, and he's going to destroy them. That's why you read about it in the book of Isaiah, the 14th chapter. It talks about that whole Palestine shall be dissolved, right? So not only is America going to be completely drenched in thermonuclear missiles, but these nations, if they gather together to fight World War III, they're going to gather in the Levant, the so-called Middle East. And when they do, the Lord is going to have it to where that area is also what hit with thermonuclear missiles, and they're going to die, okay? But you're going to have that land restored because it is a land that it's an area that's given unto the Israelites. But America will not be restored, okay? And that's the narrative. But here it is, Isaiah 14:31. Hope, howl, O gate, cry, O city, thou whole Palestina art dissolved, right? For there shall come forth from the north a smoke, and none shall be alone in his appointed time, right? Because of the cockatrice and the flying fiery serpent. So, that too, these nations are gonna get it, and then it circles back to Edom again. Okay, let's bring it back. It circles back to Edom. Because of their pride, Edom shall be a desolation. So, in the kingdom, they're going to be desolate, but also their headquarters, their stronghold, which is Babylon, will be desolate, right? Their kingdom will be desolate. Their inheritance will be desolate, right? They're not going to be dwelling that, there's nothing left for them. They're going to be destitute. Let me use that word. So it says, as an overthrow, Sodom and Gomorrah. And it says again, surely the least of the flock, Amalek, shall draw them out. They shall draw them out to their destruction. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. So they shall make their habitation. How are they causing their habitation to be destroyed? By wickedness, okay? By, impersonating the sons of God. Identity theft, okay? Wicked, dealings, okay? They send their rich men to lobby the powerful country's government, and then they use that power to deal wickedly and unjustly. So what do they have now? They try to force America, Babylon, to strike Iranian nuclear facilities, and America was like, nah, this ain't the time yet. And right, they weren't going to do it because it's not the time for World War III to pop off, okay, because the MOTB has not been mandated yet. So they have taken it upon themselves, which really I don't think, if they actually do attack and tensions rise up, hey, it is gonna cause these nations to be agitated to where they will be fully set in their heart to start World War III. So it says the United States has obtained new intelligence suggesting that Israel is making preparations to strike Iranian nuclear facilities, even as the Trump administration has been pursuing a diplomatic deal with Tehran. Multiple U.S. officials familiar with the latest intelligence told CNN such a strike will be a brazen break in President Donald Trump. A U.S. official said it could risk tipping off a broader regional conflict in the Middle East, something the United States has sought to avoid since the war in Gaza inflamed tensions beginning in 2023. And Trump has been, throwing hints that he listens, to, he pays attention to biblical prophecies. So he's trying to avoid having to start World War III in the Middle East. But of course, we know that it's not up to him. It's up to the Lord. And the Lord is fully, convinced that he is going to draw these nations out into the valley of Jehoshaphat so that he can pour his indignation upon them. It says officials caution it's not clear that Israeli leaders have made a final decision, and that in fact there is a deep disagreement within the United States government about the likelihood that Israel will ultimately act. Whether and how Israel strikes will likely depend on what it thinks of the U.S. negotiations with Tehran over its nuclear program. But the chance of an Israeli attack on Iranian nuclear facility has gone up significantly in recent months, right? Because, the least of the flock, they are the ones that are pushing for it, right? They are the ones that are, by their own words, desperate. They are the only ones that are fighting for survival, and they are the ones that need something to be done immediately, right? And so they are impatient, they're hot-headed, and they have the means, because America supplies them with weapons. They have the means, and they have what, they have powerful people, in America and in Europe, and lobbying um, the government. So they are gonna, if they are really gonna do something that just will not, what, it's just not gonna end well for anyone. So it says, but the chance of an Israeli strike on an Iranian nuclear facility has gone up significantly in recent months, said another person familiar with the U.S. intelligence on the issue. And the prospect of a Trump negotiated U.S. Tehran deal that doesn't remove all Iranians' uranium makes the chance of a strike much more likely. The heightened worries stems not only from public and private messaging from senior Israeli official that is considering such a move, but also from intercepted Israeli communications and observations of Israeli military movements that could suggest an imminent strike, multiple sources familiar with the intelligence said. Among the military preparation the United States have observed among the military preparation the United States have observed are the movement of air munitions and the completion of an air exercise, two of the sources say. So, man, but those same indicators could also simply be Israel trying to pressure Iran to abandon key tenets of its nuclear program by signaling the consequences if it doesn't, underscoring the ever-shifting complexities the White House is navigating. And I don't know what these men think they're doing, but you have Iran. It's not a standalone country. They have allies, and their allies are not like Babylon, that are wholly set upon profits and business. These countries out there that have allied themselves with Iran, they care the slightest. They don't give a damn about sanctions or economy being put down. All they care about is weapons. All they care about is power. They don't give a rat's ass how good their citizens needs to be living. And so they are much less hesitant to start a war, to go to war if need be. Okay? That's why, Russia continues on in their military campaign, even in the face of all these sanctions. That's why North Korea goes in to join them, even being sanctioned, being cut off by the entire world, right? That's why you have, India not giving a damn what's going to happen to them, and they still are dealing with them, even though they told them, don't buy anything from Russia, don't give them, money, right, in exchange for anything, so that they can fund their war. But people are still doing it. Okay, you have South Africa saying that they don't care if there's an arrest out for Putin. If Putin comes to South Africa, they're gonna welcome him, and they're gonna send him back safely. So these nations out there, they really don't care. They're much less hesitant, and they will come against these people. And like I said, because America is wholly committed to the Israelis, when they come in to retaliate against the Israelis, America is gonna jump in World War III, which we can't wait. There has to be something horrible that needs to happen before the kingdom of heaven be established. And if you're in the spirit, you would want more than anything for wickedness to be put down and righteousness to be set up. Trump has publicly threatened military action against Iran if his administration's effort to negotiate a new nuclear deal to limit or eliminate Tehran's nuclear program fail. But Trump also set a limit on how long the United States will engage in diplomatic efforts. In a letter to Iran's supreme leader, I'm not even going to try to pronounce this, in mid-March, Trump set a 60-day deadline for those efforts to succeed. According to other sources familiar with the communication, it has now been more than 60 days since that letter was delivered, and 38 days since the first round of OFV talks began. Okay, so things are happening in this world, and that's why I said if you keep watching, that day will never sneak up on you because there are people out there who literally have no clue. You know, I talk to people about try to sneak in these kind of things into the conversation, or how you gotta move and what do you think about this, and they don't know what the hell is going on. They don't know. The only way you can possibly communicate with the people of this world is by talking about vain things. Oh, how was your weekend? Oh, this, that, and the third. But you can never actually have a proper, you know, conversation about the state of the world with them. They are completely gone. They have no idea what's going on. And if you happen to talk to someone who knows about things like this, they are 100% certain that America is untouchable. Iran is in its weakest military position in decades after Israel bombed its missile production facilities and air defenses in October. Combined with an economy weakened by sanctions and Israel's decimation of its most powerful regional proxies, United States officials say, sees a window of opportunity. The United States is setting up an intelligence collection to be prepared to assist if Israeli leaders decide to strike. One senior U.S. official told CNN, but a source familiar with the Trump administration's thinking told CNN the United States is unlikely to help Israel carry out strikes on Iranian nuclear sites at this moment, right, short of some major provocations by Tehran. So, yeah, Israel does not have the capacity to destroy Iran's nuclear programs without American assistance. And there was a recent article that came out how you got North Koreans over there in Iran helping them develop nuclear missiles. Hey, it's getting real out here. So, with that, I'm going to end it by giving a praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rachak Kodash, and Shalom, Yahweh Hashem, Shabbat to all you Akims and Akwifs that are listening in truth and in sincerity. May the blessing of blessing be upon the house. And until next time, I'm going to end it right here. Shalom.